Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be answering the big question, is the Ackie monitor the right pet for you? Of course, to answer that question, we'll be going over our 4 big topics, that being personality, cost of ownership, the overall care of the animal, and then lastly, the recommended experience I recommend to get the Ackie monitor. With all that being said, we'll be cutting this intro a little bit short, so let's just sit back, relax, dive into some Ackie monitor content, and roll the intro. Before we get this video started, of course, I think we're missing one thing. Something before we get started. Oh, that's right. There we go. And my God, before we get this video started, let's just take a look at this guy. Brilliant coloration all the way down. Just a fantastic red Ackie. I mean, my God, this is a good looking monitor. And diving into our first topic, let's get into it. Number 1, the personality of the animal. Now, when it comes to the personality of the Ackie monitor, it's pretty high up there as far as monitor lizards go. These guys are pretty personable and all in all pretty friendly. And when we're comparing these things to something like Savannah monitors, Nile monitors, things like that, they're definitely nothing of the sorts. As babies, they can be a little bit shy and skittish as nature. However, as they grow up, they become a little bit better and tame down a little bit more. As you can see, my guy is ranging around the subadult area. Well, not completely tame. You can see he's kind of squirming around. He's not having too good of a time. He is not super skittish. He's not like my Quince monitors who are constantly on the run, running away. He's just a little bit unsure right now and trying to figure things out. However, as time goes on, and of course with continued work of habitualizing and socializing these animals, he can become quite a personable pet. I almost feel like I can kind of compare it to rivaling the Asian water monitor personality. They definitely become quite curious guys. They'll climb all over you, hang around, things like that. All in all, they can be a great pet as far as the personality goes. You're definitely going to get a great personal animal if you choose an Ackie monitor. But moving on, that's going to bring us to topic number 2, the cost of ownership for the Ackie monitor. Now, when it comes to the cost of ownership for the Ackie monitor, it isn't the cheapest animal to get. That's not to say they're overly expensive. However, Ackie monitors can be a little pricey. Let's do a little bit of a price breakdown here. So number 1, of course, the enclosure size. You're going to want something no smaller than a 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot for an adult Ackie monitor. That's going to be a little bit expensive. Nothing you can find at your local PetSmart, any type of pet store getting in an aquarium size. You know, these guys are going to need custom enclosures. Anything around the fact of like Zen habitats, AP cages, vision cages, something like that, or even building your own out of a wooden bib are the way to go when it comes to housing an Ackie monitor. Of course, Ackie monitors being a burrowing species, you're going to want quite a lot of substrate in there, measuring anywhere around the 10 to 15 inches as an average substrate for them. That's a lot of dirt. Well, someone's cranky. Your usual bulbs going on. Of course, you need the basking lights, UVB, some branches that do like to climb a little bit, so a couple of little branches in there, some hides, logs, things like this are going to be what you're going to want to purchase as far as Ackie monitors needs. Not only that, feeding can become quite expensive. Unless you're breeding your own feeders, Ackie monitors, of course, being primarily insectivores, will put a dent in your budget. Of course, them dubia roaches, boy, them dubia roaches are not cheap, and these Ackie monitors, they little piggies. These guys do eat a lot of insects, and dubia roaches, of course, can be quite expensive. Of course, not only dubia roaches, you're going to want to feed a variety of different feeder insects to them, but yeah, all in all, well, not the most expensive, still not a very cheap pet at the same time. Moving on, we still got a couple more topics to go about, and that's going to bring us to number 3, the overall care of the Ackie monitor. When it comes to the overall care of the Ackie monitor, again, not the hardest animal to take care of, but not the easiest at the same time. Of course, help, please. I'm gonna need help on this one, bud. Of course, much like most Varanus species, there we go. Ackie monitors are gonna need a fairly high basking temp. I keep mine around the 125 to 130 for basking, and then upwards of the hundreds for ambient temps as far as that hot side goes. And then getting down on the cool side, I like to keep it around the highish 80s, even around the 77-ish for the cool end, going all the way into the hundreds at the warm end. As I mentioned a little bit before in the cost of ownership, of course, these guys do love to burrow. You're gonna wanna supply a very deep burrowing place for them, nice deep substrate. Personally for me, I'm using a topsoil sand peat moss mix in varying degrees or ratios going down, so it's going to be more moisture and cooler down there, where it's going to be more hotter and more sand than topsoil up top, so getting a nice humidity gradient going down. Speaking of humidity gradient, that actually is a very important topic for the Ackie monitor. While these guys do not enjoy ambient humidity, as far as just making your enclosure like 70% humidity, they're not going to enjoy that. They like it on a bit of the arid side, while outside, however, burrowing down, they do want it to be a little bit more humid. In order to obtain that, again, you're going to need that proper ratio of substrate, so when they dig down, there's a little bit more humidity retaining and moisture retaining substrate down there, versus up top, the humidity dissipates a little bit quicker than you would as it goes below. Pretty much wraps up the overall care. Of course, as I mentioned, a 4x2x2 as a minimum for an adult, and then UVB. Obviously, gotta give these guys some UVB, right, bud? He wants some. He needs to soak in those UVB rays, which you need to be soaking in this basking spot too. Maybe we need to cut down on these roaches. Jesus, man, you're getting a little chubby, my guy. We need to cut down. And finally, going over the last topic of the day, it's gonna bring us to number 4, the overall experience I think you should have before owning an Ackie monitor. Now, in my most humble personal opinion, I really don't think Ackie monitors are too hard of a lizard to own. There are a couple of special needs they're gonna have. Again, that burrowing substrate, the UVB and lights. However, you getting a little squirmy now? Always at the end, these guys start squirming around. However, if you have a clear grasp on, you know, just the basics of reptile husbandry, basking spots, things like that, what to feed, the vitamin supplements, things like that, you're really not going to have too big of an issue with Ackie monitors. I find them to be a very hardy species, and personally a very enjoyable species too. It is really fun just docking some crickets in there, you know, just put them bowl of crickets, roaches, whatever in there, and having them go on the hunt. These guys are lightning fast. I mean, my God, this is probably the fastest reptile I own. These guys, even like lobster roaches, which usually dupe any of my other reptiles, Ackies, they're right on cue, they're on the mark, and they get them. Lobster roach running around in there, boom, done, got him. These guys, all in all, quick monitor. And that's about it. Overall, I believe you just should have some grasp on basic reptile husbandry before getting your Ackie monitor. However, I really don't think them as like a specialty or expert level pet. They can really be for anybody as long as you have a grasp on how to take care of reptiles. And that is going to cover it for today. I know this little dude wants to head back into his enclosure. He's tired of hanging out for me, so we're gonna put him up, and then we are gonna talk about some other stuff. Real quick, let's just look at them one more time. Man, those reds, look at that. Just a quick announcement, these guys do have some babies right now we're incubating, so hey, you want an Ackie monitor, you want something as nice as this? Whew! Them gold rings, man, that is a nice monitor. You're gonna be able to get one in about 6 months when they hatch, if they hatch, I don't know. My first time, I don't got a clear grasp of what I'm doing, but we're doing our best. There, folks, there you have it. But now it's your turn. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Is the Ackie monitor, well, after watching this video, is the Ackie monitor the right pet for you? Did you get some information you're feeling pretty confident that you could really own and take care of this species? Or did I deter you? Are you thinking, you know what, Dakota? After watching this video, I don't think the Ackie monitor is the pet for me. Drop a comment down there, right below. Of course, it's time to do my outro stuff. Huge shout out to Zen Habitats. If you're unfamiliar with Zen Habitats, they make incredible enclosures like this one right here. Wow. Speaking of 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Zen Habitats for some Ackie monitors, that would be pristine. Great looking enclosure, great enclosure for the Ackie monitors. You're happy, the monitor's happy, I'm happy, everyone's happy. So win, win, win. If you want to learn some more information about them or potentially buy an enclosure, you can find that information down there in the link below. Speaking of that description, of course, we got all the other good stuff. We got the Facebook, we got the Instagram, we got the TikTok, we got the merch, people. We got t-shirts. T-shirts for sale. And then we also have Patreon, patreon.com/dbcbexotic, so you get the up-to-date updates on everything that's going on within my business. Talk about those Ackie monitors a little bit ago. Yep, we got some eggs. Patreon members have known about the eggs for a little bit now. They are incubating. Patreon members will know when those eggs hatch and have first dibs on the baby. So, up to you, man. Do you want to be left in the dust with the public? Or do you want to be a VIP member of the DBCB crew and be able to see those animals when they hatch and potentially buy one before anyone else? Choice is up to you. Patreon starts as low as $1 a month. I think that's a steal if you ask me. However, probably don't ask me because I don't make the best decisions in my life. Point A, me deciding to be a reptile breeder. Full time. Well, that's about gonna cover it, guys. Your name gets to be in the outro that we are gonna roll right now.